In this example, we have some files that we've pulled from another source. In fact, some of these have actually come from another PDM vault, as you'll probably see later on when we look at some of the references that are being displayed. As I bring over just the unique items for this assembly, when I go to do a check-in, you're going to see that I'm going to get a lot of errors relating to files that are outside of the vault. And because this is set to be a block in my PDM vault setup, I can't actually proceed to check in those files until I've resolved this issue. A tool we have within PDM is called Update References, and that provides a number of tools that allow us to understand and correct those broken references. Here you can see I have a whole bunch of files that say they're outside of PDM. Now actually a lot of these are common parts, and I've already imported those into my vault. So I can just say search the library parts folder for all the files that are missing or showing a warning, and as you can see here, the vast majority of these have now been found. In subfolders such as mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, etc. There are still a couple of files though that say that they're not found, and they were probably or possibly common parts but not yet moved into the common parts library folder. First of all, I'll just accept all those corrections, so I OK. And before I update the references, we can come down and we can take a look at the other errors, and you can see there are still 3 warnings, 3 files that there are problems with. And they all say they're outside SolidWorks PDM. Now I've got a couple of options. If I do know that this is in the vault, maybe it's got a different name, I could say replace file and browse to it within the vault. In this case I'm browsing to where that is on my desktop. That still doesn't quite fix things though, but I will do this for both of these ones, and then the third example will actually leave that where it is, which is in this case in another PDM vault completely, although it could just be somewhere in my file system. That's within this last subassembly. When we expand that out, you can see the path there is showing another PDM vault. Third option on here says add files to the vault. So in this case, I'm just going to tell PDM where I wanted to add those 3 files. We're going to drop them into this common parts folder, and it's going to pull them from the location where it was listed as being outside of the vault, and update the references in the top level assembly and any of those sub-assemblies when we do this last step, which is to hit update. With the references successfully updated, I can now go ahead and hit check-in again, and this time you'll see there's no warnings, no problems within the list. It is pointing the references to a number of existing files that were already in the library, and the other parts that we've either imported as part of the update references command, or that were in also within the folder that I dragged and dropped to begin with. So let's just add a comment and hit check in. Once in the vault, let's just take a look over at the common parts folder to those 3 files that we've imported, and just do a few little last tidying up operations. So over in the common parts folder, there's the 3 files that we've brought in. You'll notice that they've all been added into a different workflow state, a state called library in this case. One thing I can do is I can set the revision. So I'm not going to revision manage them as such, but perhaps I just want to lock these as released files just in case we have any viewers in our system who are not able to see working versions, for example. So by hitting released, if I was to take a look at the history, you can see we've manually stamped this as a released file essentially at revision A. And I can now take a look and I can navigate back up the tree and see where that file is used through the subassembly and to the top level assembly, which is the file that we've just imported into the system. Thanks for watching.